Hey guys, today I'm going to teach you how to subtract integers. So the other day we learned how to add integers, now we're going to do subtraction. So by the end of this lesson, you'll be able to add and subtract integers using models like number lines, counters, real-world examples, and an algorithm, which remember just means a set of rules. So go ahead and get out your binder, turn to the math section, and get ready to take some notes. Let's get started with just a review of what we know about additive inverse. This is just another word that you already know. We're just calling it something different. So additive inverse means opposites. When a number and its opposite are added, the sum is zero. So we call these zero pairs. So those are three different words for zero pairs or opposites. -5 and 5 are zero pairs or additive inverses. You can think of a million of them. When we looked at it with the counters, we were saying like a -1 and a +1 make zero. So they were a zero pair and that just canceled out. So that's what we're talking about with additive inverses. That'll be important to today. So here's how we're going to get into subtracting integers. So here's the instructions. It says rewrite the problem to add the opposite. Then follow the rules for adding integers. So we're not even really going to subtract. We're just adding the opposite. So when we see subtraction, we're just going to add, but we're going to change one thing. So for example, where it says 6 minus 7. First of all, you should know you can't take 7 from 6 and come out with a whole positive number. So you know your answer is going to be negative, first of all. But let's just rewrite it using this rule. Rewrite the problem to add the opposite. So what we've done here is instead of subtracting 7, we're going to add the opposite of that positive 7, which is a -7. Now we're going to do 6 plus -7. Now we're going to think back to our addition rules. If these are opposite signs, which they are, there's a positive and a negative, you're going to subtract 7 minus 6, which is 1, and then you're going to keep the sign of the number that has the greater value, quote unquote. You know what I'm saying? It's like this is a 6, this is a 7. A 7's bigger than a 6, and the 7 is negative, so it'll be a -1. So that should be a review from the other day. Now, but we were given it as a subtraction problem. So that's how you do that one. Let's look at the next one. This one says -9 minus 11. So we'll always keep the first number. That doesn't change. We keep that one. And then we, instead of minus 11, want to change that to addition. So rewrite the problem to add the opposite. So instead of minus +11, we'll plus -11. And then we'll add like normal. So what we learned the other day is that when you add two negatives, you are going to add like normal. So 9 and 11 make 20. And then they're just going to keep the same sign. So if I owe Bree $9 and I owe her 11 more dollars, I owe her $20 in total. So I should be getting more negative. Now let's look at the last example. This one's my favorite because these are so special. You're going to love these. So it looks very complicated. Just looking at it, you have a -3 minus a -8. There's a lot of negatives. You always keep the first number, so -3, but a minus negative is really just plus. So what I always do is I see that minus negative and I just connect these dots here. Connect the minus signs and it turns into a plus. The other thing that I've seen people do is they see that minus negative and there's usually parentheses and they draw a little smiley face and they see Bob and Bob means you're happy. So we're going to add. And you can also use that algorithm, which is instead of subtracting, we're going to rewrite the problem to add the opposite. So we are going to add the opposite of -8, which is +8. And then we're going to add like normal. This is the same thing as 8 minus 3, which is 5. So at this point, you should realize that subtraction and addition are pretty similar. What I want you to do is to go ahead and have these 3 practice problems done and then press play to check. So pause now. Okay, so by now you should have looked at these 3 problems and tried them on your own. So we'll start by following the rules. We'll keep the first number and we're going to rewrite it by adding the opposite. So -5 plus -9. Whenever they're the same, it's like I'm 5 feet underwater and I go down 9 more feet. I'm going 14 feet underwater. I'm down 14 in total. I bet some of you guys probably put parentheses here. That's fine. If you put parentheses around it, you can. You don't have to. It makes more sense to me too because it's separating that it's a negative and not a minus. But minus and negative, you'll start to see are really the same thing. It just means the opposite. So let's go and look at the next one. We'll start by rewriting it. We want to add the opposite. So we'll keep the first number. We always start on the first number. And then instead of minus, we'll add the opposite of -3. So the additive inverse is 3. So 8 plus 3 is normal. 8, 9, 10, 11. So when you see a minus negative, it really means plus plus. Let's look at the next one. You see a -2 to start with. And then we're going to add the opposite. So instead of minus, we'll add, and then the opposite of negative 10 is positive 10. Then we add like normal. So they're different signs, so I'm going to subtract, and then I'm going to keep the sign of the greater absolute value. So 10 has a greater value than 2, and 10 is positive. So my answer will be a positive 8. So now we have the same activity we looked at the other day. This time we're going to be subtracting. So it says practice subtracting integers by rewriting the problem using the additive inverse. Challenge: find the sum of each column. If you solve them correctly, the sum will match. So you'll be able to check your work before I even post an answer key. So I'll do column E with you, and then you'll be left to do the rest by yourself. So we'll just start out looking at 9 minus 6. So 9 take away 6, we should already know going into this. I could hold up 9 fingers and I could put 6 of them down, and I will end up with 3. I have 9 pizzas. I eat 6 of them. I have 3 left. Let's look at the next one. 4 take away 7. You can't take away 7 from 4, so you know that you have a negative answer. So let's go ahead and look at this on a number line. So another way to look at this problem is to model it on a number line. We always start on a number line at the first number. So we'll take me facing the right at 4. We always read left to right. That's the same way we face on a number line. So I keep reading the problem. 4 minus means turn around. So I take my little guy and I'm going to turn him the opposite direction. So he's still at 4, but he's now facing the other way. And then I just keep reading my problem. Now go 7. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now I'm at negative 3. So negative 3 is my answer. Now there's many different ways to do it. I'm showing you all of them. So now we'll look at the next one, negative 7 minus 12. We'll use the algorithm for this. You start at negative 7 and we don't minus. We want to add the opposite. So negative 7 plus negative 12. When I'm adding two numbers with the same sign, I'm just going to add like normal. I get 19, and then I know that they're negative. So I have a negative 19 for my answer. So we're going to look at this last one, negative 9 minus negative 9 with counters. And hopefully this makes a little more sense. I know this looks tricky. So let's look at what we have. The first number in the problem tells you what you have. I have negative 9. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have a negative 9 counters. Remember in like kindergarten, whenever they were like, hold up your fingers. Now take away. That sign means take away, get rid of. It's a minus sign. So I have negative 9. I'm going to take away negative 9. So if I take away, that means get rid of. So I'm going to take away the negative 9. If I take away negative 9 from negative 9, then I'm left with 0. So that is why negative 9 minus negative 9 equals 0. Remember, the quick trick is when you say a minus negative, that means plus. And then you can see here that they are 0 pairs, additive inverses, or opposites. So go ahead, and now we're going to look at adding up everything in this column so we can see if we get a sum of negative 19. That's how we're going to check our work. So let's just cancel things out. 3 and negative 3 make 0, plus 0. Remember, sum means the answer to an addition problem. So all we're left with is a negative 19. The answer is negative 19. So we were right on every one of these in the column. So you're going to want to go ahead and try these all by yourself, and then we can check them together. All right, guys, that's it. If you made it to the end of this video, in the comments, put if you could have any superpower, what would it be and why? Today we went over subtracting integers, and hopefully you realized it's very, very similar to adding integers with an extra rule. That's the algorithm. We also saw it on a number line and modeled it with counters. So now you should be able to do the same. So now go back to the calendar and click any other assignments you have left for the day. Let me know if you have any questions. Bye.